Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, a top level match that I've got for you today that was played on Hades Pond. And today, spawning is the Blue Cortex leader, a commander who's going to be taking charge. It's none other than Goaf. Goaf, the blue team leader of the Hello Clan, going to be showing us what he's got, clocking in at 40 open skill and silver chevrons to boot. Hailing from America and going to be going into some of those good old-fashioned Cortex bots. Chose this one because, well, two reasons. First of all, it's been a minute since we've seen Hades Pond, but it is a really, really cool 8v8 map. I always like taking a look at this one. It's one of those maps that's improperly balanced, quote unquote. It's intentionally imbalanced in a way that there are more commanders on one side for each team than the other. It means that we end up getting some really cool matches out of it, I tend to think. The other reason, of course, is that we've got some high-skill commanders, like, of course, the red team leader is going to be none other than Econ. Econ clocking in at 38 open skill as well, going to be showing us what they've got here as a Silvertail Chevron player, going for some good old-fashioned Armada bots. Good old-fashioned Armada bots. Armada versus Core, the two team leads going up against each other as we finish up those earliest labs, and, of course, for the Armada commanders in the bot factories, starting up that good old-fashioned tick production. Goaf here going for some wind turbines. Wind, risky proposition on this map. I would say 2 to 14. You're looking at less wind speed, less profitable wind speed than more profitable wind speed. But wind is so cheap, and oftentimes it is the better option when it's high, that I think it makes sense that Goaf is actually going into quite a few of these here, as well as some of these other Cortex commanders. For Armada commanders, it's a slightly lessened risk, but still a little bit of a risk nonetheless. I think what's much more important on this map is getting the reclaim on these juicy Duracell crystals. Eating these up and reclaiming all the energy they're in is definitely one of the most powerful ways to jumpstart that early economy. Quite literally, as it funnels back thousands and thousands of energy that can help you pump out these earlier units and spend that first 1,000 metal before your enemy does. And oftentimes that's the difference between getting an opportunity to do a little bit of raiding damage, like you can see the red team going for right now. Nicely done. Oh, wrong mouse macro here. There we go. That's the right one. Resbot in trouble. All that to zoom in on this Resbot right here that's just been destroyed for Paradise so much. Or no, pardon me, for Leyline Leela. It was one of these green commanders over here. It looks like, yeah, no, I think it was Paradise so much, yeah. Loses the Resbot over there that was eating up those energy crystals, and just like that, a couple more ticks have broken into the backline. What a swarm breaking through on this northern side. The green commander is in a whole world of hurt. We do have a Rascal come out, but immediately blasted apart as now the ticks are going to start disassembling the construction vehicle. My goodness. Commander gets involved and does manage to blast down all the rest of those ticks, well, all but one of those ticks, but there are more and more coming on in from the northern side. We need an LLT over on that side for, at the very least, to stop this harassment right here. These ticks in the backline have done monumental sums of damage. This is phenomenal. Meanwhile, one tick singular gets into the backline here for the red team. It's going to be Trilos. Looks like we have Barcast TV playing in this game as well. Always cool to see. Whenever some of those caster commentators and excellent players do show up in these games, I'm always thrilled to cover them. Super duper exciting. Nicely cleaned up right here by the pink commander, though. Mr. Coconut cleans up that tick in the back line right there and spares his poor hot pink commander from any more devastation from those early laser bots. Little Rascal play going on the northern side here. Rascals versus Rovers. It's a bit of a weird matchup right here. As you can see, the ticks, rather. Rascals versus ticks. The ticks are quite good. Surprisingly good, right? Because for the cost, the Rascal costs quite a bit more. 26 metal versus just the humble 17. And I suppose at range, the Rascal does more damage, but the Tick is superior in basically every other way. At this point, pawns are coming across the map here. We've stepped up one tier into the tech level. Couple more pawns trying to sneak through, but the aggression is cleaned up nicely right here. And I want to say that that is basically all we're going to see from the super early game, the scout game, here on this match. Well, there we go. Okay. One tick manages to sneak through, as well as some reinforcing pawns to kill the metal extractor at the very least. Easily 50 metal worth of reclaim right there from all those units, but at the very least, yeah, doing a decent job of managing to do a little bit of damage on the other side of the map. Nice engagement right there, getting a good surround on a bunch of those pawns. This is where we settle into that late early game, that evil T1 early game that's so difficult to do. Goaf moves in for the D-gun right there, gets the D-gun not only on the LLT, but also on the early incisor. Nicely done. Blue Commander making moves right here to try and open up the lines and use them to attack. Purple Commander going to blast down this LLT, or try to at the very least. Oh, firepower goes down, and the LLT actually stays up and running. Nicely done. That's going to be WQE, the Brown Commander right here, that manages to keep that LLT up and running. But of course, there's a dangerously open path right here on the southern side. Smooth Operator, as well as Magic Man, the Green Commander right here, as well as Smooth Operator, are going to be setting up some static defenses right now, and it looks like we're going even for a heavy laser turret. What a weird kind of wraparound we've got going on right here. Yeah, the static defenses are being beset upon by Treelos pushing forward right now, but we also have the Green Commander applying pressure from the southern side. Smooth Operator is in a key position right here. If this goes away, then suddenly this becomes really, really difficult to deal with. Looks like these rocket bots are trying to fire away right here, but having a bit of a hard time pushing into this. Yeah, Magic Man has to be careful. Those beamer turrets are so dangerous for commanders to push into. They attack so frequently that they can melt down a commander really, really quickly. They gain a lot of experience very quickly as well. Very tricky to deal with. Missile truck doing about 9% damage per blast here, firing away at these light laser towers. Looks like it's exactly 9.5% damage. Good to know. Layla trying to push in as well, but she's not having much success without reinforcing forces here. The Rocketeers whittling down the Green Commander quite brutally, and the longer she stays out on the field right now, Layla's going to have a harder and harder time keeping up with the production right here. Obviously, going up against a numerically superior enemy, the Orange Commander using all the resources of the lane, whereas Leela has basically been prohibited access to most of the resources here on the lane, means Disami, the Orange Commander, is going to have a phenomenal army, while Leela has to make the very most out of the very least. Always a tricky situation, and you can't afford to lose medium tanks or anything like that. You have to get every scrap of efficiency out of every unit that you have, otherwise you're never going to be able to maintain that pace. Beamer turret here doing wonderful stuff. Smooth Operator in a little bit of trouble, but there we go. Wolverines out on the field are going to spell the end of the static defense era right here, as this Beamer turret is now jumped on by Magic Man's Wolverines that are firing away right here, and Smooth Operator has done as good a job as can be, but no longer has the superiority here in the midsection of this map. Suddenly this becomes a very tricky light-up right here, where suddenly the bots are inferior to the vehicles, but also inferior to the number of bots right here that Treelos has. Basically, it's a bad situation. My goodness. T2 Lab coming up here for the Red Commander, Nikotan. Okay. Red Commander going for a little bit of a walk right here. Looking to make a difference with a little bit of a cheesy commander move. Okay. I like it. I like the plays right here. I say cheesy, but I don't mean it in the same way. I feel like cheese has a different sort of definition in this game. Cheese really just referring to anything that's non-conventional, right? Substandard. Or non-standard, I should say. Sometimes moves like this can really catch your opponents off guard, and that can really win the difference, or mean the difference in a game of bar. And here we go. Nikotan popping out of the water. Are we going to have much to really do over here, though, is the question. No, is the answer. D-Gun's on grunts, mostly. I'm not sure that this was worth it at all. Yeah, Red Commander goes down. I mean, after D-Gunning a bunch of units, sure, but maybe if Disami can reclaim that, at the very least, it pulls the sting out of this ever so slightly, but the Orange Commander needs to reclaim this or something, otherwise that is just a really wild sacrifice. Not entirely sure what the context was for that. I suppose the idea being that there's enough units here that we can continue the push right now, but there we go, I mean, sure. Resbot's eating a couple hundred metal out of this wreckage before the Orange Commander can get to it. Oh, and the Deegan can't hit the Commander Corpse under the water. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is about the most disappointing play I've ever seen. The Red Commander throwing away 1,500 metal, or nearly 1,500 metal, to the enemy for almost no reason. Huh. There was definitely a plan right there, and I think maybe it got miscommunicated or misunderstood or something like that. Now the red team flaming their Red Commander, maybe not the most helpful move of all time, but we do have some we do have some siege tanks moving out here. The Mauser mobile artillery cannons firing away at long range in order to blast down this agitator, so at the very least doing a good job in that sense. These Mauser are very dangerous to push into. Of course, their firepower is unparalleled on the battlefield for artillery vehicles. What they lack in range compared to Sheldons and Hounds and whatnot, they definitely make up for in having a wide AoE as well as a decent amount of damage per that AoE. Paradise so much falling rapidly right here as these cannons fire away, as you can see. Medium tanks skirmishing all over the place here as well. Trading out relatively efficiently, though. Not a bad fight for the Red Commander, because obviously these can be reclaimed and replaced with T2 tanks. Paradise so much going in for the trade. Boom, go both commanders. The second Red Commander and the Seafoam Green Commander go down, and also the medium tanks have been wiped away here. Suddenly, there are medium tanks in the backline. Okay. Shuriken responding at the very least. That's always good to see. Shuriken can be the difference maker here, and I think they're going to have to be right now. Pawns finally running over in this section from the Orange Commander to reinforce. And at the very least, these wreckages are de-gunnable here from Commander L. Resbots, again, reclaiming so much of this wreck here. Paradise so much is doing a fabulous job of reclaiming all this. If there was more energy economy right here, the Seafoam Green Commander could easily be jumping into T2. Unfortunately for Paradise so much, it's not the case. Meanwhile, on the southern side, just a brutal battle going on. A bunch of medium tanks brute forcing their way through, as their name would imply. No pun intended. The medium tank, the brute, breaking through the front line right here and making very good use of that thick armor plating in order to just ignore the damage the enemy is putting out. Meanwhile, the Rocketeers firing away at whatever they can. Namely, the Commander WJE on the or WQE, pardon me, on the southern side. Brightworks Orange's letters. It looks like WQE is going to go down here too. Wow, actually killing a lot of those Rocketeers. A lot more of them than I thought would have gone down right there. Nice micro from Treelos. Apparently just barely not enough. Another Orange Commander, or the Yellow Commander, I mean, has gone down over here as well. Meaning that this is a wonderful feast right now for the Cyan Commander. The blue team is making all the moves right now. Definitely making the plays of all time. I'm glad to see that we have some T1 tanks reinforcing these Mauser right here, but the Mauser are working a little slow for my taste. I think these T1 static defenses don't really deserve to be up and running this long. We just need some kind of scouting out in front for the Mausers, and then they're going to start to trade out really, really quickly. Especially against things like these medium tanks right here, which obviously have a lot of HP, but relative to the massive sum of damage those T2 units can do, it's really a drop in the bucket. A little Centurion waddle going on over here. Always cool to see. Centurion, one of those units that can find surprisingly large value into the mid and late game. As an anti-swarm unit, they're surprisingly effective against grunts and punts, ticks, rovers, and rascals. Very, very surprisingly effective. You can sort of think of them like a budget Razorback, I would say. Mixing a couple of them into the composition is a good way of making sure that your heavier units, your slower firing units, your single target units, they all have enough crowd control to actually stay up and running. Mauser finally actually getting a chance to fire at some of these medium tanks. Unfortunately, a little bit of friendly fire going on here too. Actually, a lot of friendly fire. Pawn's doing a good job of shielding these Mauser though. Still a lot of medium tanks in the backline. What a mess. A complete mess of an engagement right here, but eventually the Mauser will go down at the tremendous cost of all those T1 medium tanks right here for the blue commander. A worthwhile sum to knock those early T2 units off the field. I think the reclaim here is going to be key, and as long as the reclaim continues scaling here and continues coming back to the red economy, it should be more than possible to rebuild that T2 army. Will we have it in time, though? Shuriken responding quickly over here on the southern side. No anti-air included right now for the Cyan Commander, so it does look like the Shuriken are going to reign supreme. Medium tanks here still, though, blasting through the backline. At the very least, the Shuriken, or the medium tanks rather, have enough HP to resist at least a couple of the blasts from those Shuriken. Meaning some more metal extractors, some more wind turbines, some more damage all over the place. Wow. I'm pretty surprised. The T2 here, finally being produced. We have bull tanks coming out right now. 950 metal apiece means they are very expensive to build. Used to mean we need some D-guns. We need some D-guns and we needed them yesterday. Where is it? The D key on the keyboard is the one that pulls up the targeting reticle for the D-gun. Very, very useful for situations where you need to obliterate a tank immediately. The bull here dishing out huge amounts of damage. The T1 tanks, though, especially those Janus twin missile launchers firing away into the distance. Their lock-on rocket launchers are very, very dangerous. And obviously these bull tanks trade very efficiently against big swarms of units. They do a decent amount of AoE as well, which means that when they're firing at these grunts, for instance, they're going to be knocking them down whenever they're grouped up. Bull Tank's a very nasty unit to face on the front lines here. Speaking of front lines, Layla's front line is basically destroyed right now. I'm surprised we haven't seen these Wolverines devastated. There we go. Finally, the tanks jump on top of all those. A lot of Janices here. Actually, mostly Janices for dealing damage right now is a bit funny. There we go. We managed to take down the riot tank, but not before it takes down quite a few of those Janus tanks and a missile truck too. We will eventually get there, but it's a bit of a weird way of getting around to that. Nikotun calls the resign vote as the southern side has been overwhelmed. Pawns swarming through and ticks as well, running past the defenses. The defensive wind turbines. Our green hero, Magic Man, also pushing inwards as well. It's a now or never kind of moment right now. Oh, Gove popping up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Gove fires the D-gun. He's going for the T2 lab. Bulls. The Bulls for the win. Boom goes Gove just barely before he manages to D-gun the T2 laboratory. Saving the day right here for the Red Commander, who is in a world of trouble right there. Still in a lot of trouble, but at the very least, the T2 lab staying up means, of course, that T2 production can continue. Pawns are going to continue standing around, looking at the wind turbines. Looking lovely, as they often do. Love the title generator farm. I like that idea, except that title speed is 15 on this map. Around 20-ish is where you want to build those title generators. At 15, it's relatively inefficient. You do have to be careful about that. It's an easy way to accidentally sink a lot more resources than you might have expected. Centurions here. Blasting away. Bulls, likewise. And that is the thing about Bulls. They're basically a precision-made tool for dealing with T2 siege units. When they can get on top of the siege units and start firing away. Because those siege units like Sheldons and Hounds start to pile up, and Belchers start to pile up on top of each other, the Bulls AoE really comes into effect, and then it starts to get really, really nasty value. So we just saw right there, all these Hounds going down right there on the purple side. Paradise so much. Trying to get a nasty D-gun in. Runs out of energy though. Boom goes the Seafoam Green Commander, and the Bull Tanks still are up and standing. We need a console or two to reclaim all this metal in the front lines right here. All this metal turned into tanks, and this is an easy front line to win. Sharpshooter is now out and available for Who Pooped My Pants, the Purple Commander. This southern side a desperate hold. We, do have a T2 economy just continually scaling right here. Okay. The Blue Commander is saying, well, you know what, I've done my job. I'm going to go ahead and take some time, take a little vacation, and go ahead and start producing just about as much economy as possible. Going for that fusion reactor scaling, which is personally, my favorite way of scaling, when it's uncertain how long you're going to be able to scale for, right? Fusion reactor scaling, usually quite attainable. Relatively low build power cost in order to effectively scale. Sharpshooters right here, jumping on top of these, lightning tanks, Jaguar, firing on top of the Sharpshooter. Nicely done by the Red Commander, including just a couple of those fast tanks in order to jump on top of those, with the Purple Commander not having enough energy to actually fund their shots. Means that these Bulls are going to be able to get into the backline, pop the T2 lab, and devastate the wind turbine economy right here for Seafoam Green Commander Paradise so much. The 25 open skill hero now losing it all to a couple of these Bulls in the backline. 950 metal a pop, but well worth every penny that we spent here, as these Bulls now basically ruin the entire game right now for our blue team. What a yin-yang. Suddenly this match has turned completely on its head, with the red team pushing forward on the northern side, starting to tear apart this base with incredible speed. No shuriken produced right here, unfortunately, so the Bulls do go on a tear. Well, a single shuriken, I should say. To be fair, a single shuriken. Oh, wind turbines. And a beautiful chain reaction. Like an Acme gunpowder fuse. Exploding into the night. Man, Bulls are dangerous, huh? Watching these things just easily tear apart this base is really, really something else. Looks like we've got a laboratory building resbots here, interestingly. And lightning tanks just being spammed out every single direction. For what it's worth, the blue team is recovering. Now we've got some rocket spiders on the field, though, and these are going to be quite dangerous against, well, especially T1 static defenses, but even T2 struggle against them. Those T2 Tiger tanks are quite good, but these lightning tanks can do a huge amount of damage if you let them burst you down. Blitz is trying to run past as well, which is quite nice. Yeah, nice. We've got some splitties here. One little hero blitz to tear down the metal extractors, but that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see single blitzes split off here to kill these metal extractors, so that it's not obvious that we're killing them, but it is effective. Oh, just barely those E-converters stay alive right there. Just by the skin of the blue commander's teeth. Trilos actually setting up a T2 laboratory on the enemy side of the map. How funny is that? Rattlesnake within sieging distance of the main base right here for the pink commander. Looks like our yellow commander has left the game. It looks like brown has tapped out of the match here as well. That is a gigantic army of rocket spiders pushing in on the southern side. Rocket spiders not phenomenal against fiends, but they'll get the job done to a certain degree. In the sense that if you fire 10,000 rockets, maybe 10 of them will connect, and that's really all it takes. And rockets are free, at least in Beyond All Reason, they're cheap. 2 or 3 welders in the mix right here to deal with these fiends would probably be ideal, though. Yeah, the rocket spider is definitely struggling quite a lot to hit these fiends. Not to destroy that base, though. Up and over the hillside and into the backline. The Green Commander Leela loses the entire base. The Lightning Tank's now wrapping around on this side. A big old insurgent strike force right here for the Red Commander goes in, but the blitzes are mopping it up very slowly but very steadily. And just like that, all the Tiger tanks are killed. The Bull's now out on the front here as well to continue doing damage, blasting away with about 5% damage per shot, but doing a wonderful job of devastating everybody here. Tiger tanks and all the rest. Wow, this is a nail-biter of a match. The red team with a phenomenal metal lead right now, but only for the second as the reclaim is high. Rocket Spiders making the difference, though. I think these are the game-winning play right here. Rocket Spiders in the backline, tearing apart the static defenses, tearing apart the eco, popping all that static eco, all the eco that's reliable, right? The solar panels, the fusion reactors, all the ones that you absolutely need. Oh, and the Webbers included in the mix here as well to reclaim everything. That's so cool. Definitely one of my favorite compositions in the game is the Weber Recluse. Not only because it's all spider themed and I love spiders, but because of the fact that you reclaim all of your units as well as the enemies. It means that you end up with this weird situation where you get like 80% of your metal back from every push. A little bit better micro right here on these Webers, and we start reclaiming a little bit more. Not the end of the day, though, because obviously the damage has been done. The T2 lab is already dead, and the static defenses have fallen here as well. Only a matter of time before this base is ravaged. It's a race to the corners, yeah. A race to Eco Mountain. There's a reference that 3 people will get. Back when I didn't groan when I would see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a movie. Way back when. Gunships in the air here, nice. Barcast going into some of those gunships in order to shut this down. An easy choice, of course. Those gunships are so effective. We have a single anti-air bot, so it'd be easy to target that down. Targeting the radar jammer as well. All the squishy targets go down first, and then you can focus on the ones that are a little bit harder to kill here. Yeah, light anti-air bots are gonna pose a problem, but not the end of the world. Persecutor cannon, and a little bit of a rough spot. Not gonna be able to fire very well at a lot of these units here. Oh, a nice push through the middle, though. A very nice push through the middle. Pitbull's here doing a great job. Blasting away at a whole bunch of these welders. Chipping their armor back quite nicely here. The Orange Commander continuing to push forward. Resbots included in the mix to eat up this 20,000 metal worth of reclaim here. Hey, you know what? Purple Commander's doing a great job of that, too. 7,000 metal in the bank. I think it's time we go for T3. Yeah, with all this reclaim available, going for T3 maybe not the worst option. We need a little bit more power production, so maybe another fusion reactor first. Oh, this is a scary moment, though. The Bulls and the medium tanks are out, and we don't really have the sharpshooters to deal with it. Basically, the only tool in the T2 Armada toolbox, Armada bot toolbox, that can really do with this consistently. The Hounds are nice, of course, and the welders are fine. But sharpshooters are really what you want to have to deal with those heaviest of tanks. Layla now in a very precarious situation. Her lab is under siege. Her circuits are fried. And her commander is dead. The lime green commander, Leela does fall. And that does mean, too, bad omens for the rest of this northern side right here. Losing a large portion of the defenses. Sharpshooters firing away wherever they can. Mostly it ticks, though, unfortunately. This is the last stand right here for the green commander. Meanwhile, tan bolts have been pulled to reinforce the southern side. Salamanders have been produced by Magic Man, who looks like he's going for a little bit of a cheeky number. Well, I'd love to see him pop up on the other side here and try and degun down some of this. That'd be very cool indeed. The tick spam to reinforce right here for Treelos, and I hope we see sharpshooters coming out. Very easy to build, very powerful, very easy to micro to siege unit. Pawns going down easily here as well. Always cool. This game has gotten very desperate. Who's got eco in the backline? Looks like the ecos are roughly even. Yeah, 4 to 10% advantage, all basically based on resurrection and reclamation. Whoever manages to pull more dust out of the middle of the metal map is going to be the one that can really do it the best. Who pooped my pants? Asking the serious questions out here. The purple commander. Well, yeah, there is a radar bot, so at the very least we're aware that there's something dire lurking in the midst over there. Starlight's doing phenomenal work over on this side. Is the red commander aware? Nikatan sees that there's something. Degun is fired, and the purple commander is revealed. Pardon me, choking on my words here. Who pooped my pants gets away with it. Just barely, but gets away with it. Now there are sharpshooters en masse, and that means the end of the effectiveness of the T2 tank. T3 really the only thing that can effectively shut down sharpshooters, and even then it really is only specific T3. Vanguards and catapults, and sometimes Shiva and Karganeth are decent enough as well. Razorbacks to some degree, but basically you need those really specialty tools. We really could be going for a bigger place here, Magic Man. Walking the commander around underwater. Love the sharpshooters here, though. With the inclusion of the tick spam, the sharpshooters have perfect vision, and it means that they're going to be pretty much unstoppable. Their projectile travels so fast that it may as well be hit scan. Static defenses, of course, standing no chance against the sharpshooters. Every click of their rifle blasting down static defense really, really effectively. Pop goes the base. Am I the only one? I can't be the only one that finds this incredibly satisfying. Starlight's here, dismantling enough of this front here to also break through, and I can't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like despite a gigantic push on the southern side from the blue team, despite overwhelmingly winning their lane, Treelos and Magic Man, it's going to be a sharpshooter welder push. My favorite composition in the game that cracks the shields on the northern side of the blue team and manages to rip open the defenses, and now it's a race against the clock. Oh, sharpshooters are jumped on. Oh no, those T2 tanks get a chance to jump on the sharpshooters, and it means that Treelos doesn't have enough firepower to shut down this composition. Click, 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 go those sharpshooter rifles. But if you don't have enough of them to overwhelm the push here from the other team, you're just not going to be able to break the line. A strategic reserve of exactly 12 sharpshooters, determined to be the mathematically correct number to push forward here, and I think the Orange Commander nailed it on the head. Disami pushing with ruthless effectiveness at this point. Sharpshooters cloaked in their pajamas, firing their little briefcase cannons. How many of you knew that they folded up their little gun into a briefcase? Some little bar trivia for you. We'll take a nice high perspective as we watch these sharpshooters click away at these many different juicy targets here. T2 Laboratory, Fusion, Build Power, all the rest of it, Welders as well. All going down basically instantly. I love the little laser pointer too. That's one of my favorite things about the sharpshooters. The little laser pointer indicator to tell you what they're shooting at. T2's rushing inwards. Southern side of the map. Nowhere near as effective looking. Suddenly the weight of 3 different commanders is all borne down on top of the blue commander singularly. Now the pit bulls are firing away. But once again, it's a matter of time. As soon as those sharpshooters get within range, the pit bulls mean very little. Medium tanks, welders, any of the beefier units as well. And you can see why the welders are so powerful here too, enabling the sharpshooters to fire away, and also clearing out those spam units so the sharpshooters can get real value out of their attacks right there. But that'll be all. The red team manages to sweep the victory here despite an overwhelming push on the southern side, some tremendous aggression, and some wonderful plays. It's going to be our red team heroes, both orange and red, who managed to take the victory in this game of Beyond All Reason. And thank you a ton for watching. I sure hope you enjoyed, and I sure hope to see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Please feel free to like and subscribe, of course, if you'd like to join the Brightworks community. You can also do so by joining the Discord, linked always down below in the description section. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.